Hi, I'm Tom Finn. I was in cohort 4 SAMBa, and my PhD was on random growth models, random competition models, so understanding how two kind of competing growth processes fight for space.
Hi, I'm Will. I was part of cohort 4 for SAMBa. My PhD was mainly in, I say optical fibres, but it was more towards the pure end of the math spectrum, so analysis, numerical analysis, that kind of thing.
I'm Lizzi. I am a member of SAMBa Cohort 3, so I started SAMBa in 2016. My PhD topic was optimising first-in-human trials. So broadly, it was a question around trying to make clinical trial design more efficient. It came from an ITT in my first year of SAMBa, which was with Roche.
My name's Kevin Olding. I did my PhD here with Alex Cox. It was a thesis on mathematical finance and probability. So we looked at some strategies that market makers might employ and did a mixture of pure maths and probability to sort of analyse and improve some results about those market makers.
So since leaving SAMBa, I did a 2-year postdoc at Durham in statistical physics. And after that, I joined industry. Now I build machine learning models to catch fraud in real time.
When I first left, I did a short 7-month postdoc continuing my PhD research. It was working in collaboration with Roche, using a trial as a case study to see if we could get the work a step closer to being implementable, if that's a word.
I'm currently working at UCL as part of their central research software engineering team. So part of that is lecturing. So I lecture one course once a week for 3 hours. And then the other end, I'm doing sort of dipping in and out of research projects. So academics come along to us and be like, I've got 50 grand of a grant left to use on making my software applicable to everyone or reproducing the results of this paper. Can you help me because I can't do it? And we say yes.
And then, I joined a pharmaceutical company and I work in a statistical methodology group. So the remit is kind of how can we design trials to be more efficient.
I now work for myself. I run the Mathsaurus courses website. So we've had more than 30,000 students come through online courses from ages 7 up to 18 for maths challenges for 11 plus maths, GCSE and A level and more, and I'm working full-time on that now.
As a graduate from the SAMBa programme, you are a lot more than a person with a PhD.
SAMBa was a great opportunity to do a lot of different things. So before, I would say my mathematical interests were fairly narrow, and SAMBa let me see a lot more.
A lot of presentation practice, which maybe we don't love at the time, but when you look back, you'll be grateful for it.
So a lot of what I was doing in terms of the software side, I was doing as part of the extra stuff that you do as part of SAMBa. So obviously the coding foundation year probably helped introduce me to a bunch of other languages. I think I'm one of the people who's seen the most languages in the team.
I kind of gave more in terms of communication and ability to interact with people and ask questions, because we get so much practice at that at the ITTs.
When you talk to people in the industry, these are great things to talk about.
Teaching as well, the opportunity you got there to dip in on tutorials gave me a lot of the teaching experience that I rely on now when I lecture.
It was a part-time project that evolved into a business, and I'm not sure without the flexibility that a PhD gives you, that whether that would have been possible in quite the same way, and without taking any risks, I suppose, along the way it evolved quite organically into what it is.
The opportunity to practice trying to apply what you know to a slightly different question is really valuable.
The best thing I did in SAMBa, I would say, is the actual research. I mean, I think that was what I was here for, and I really enjoyed that.
The best thing in terms of usefulness for future career and everything is probably the ICTs and the teaching. It's quite hard to top those in terms of utility.
I think organising the SAMBa conference was quite fun. So that was fun to organise, work with the people, organise the talks, kind of seeing it all come together was good.
But there were some other highlights as well. I did a trip to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, and also to Asunción in Paraguay, where we went to teach statistics. We worked with government agencies and met lots of interesting people there, and got to see parts of the world that I wouldn't have otherwise visited, and in a way where you're really involved in something whilst you were there. So they were highlights as well. That year at the start where you get the chance to formulate what you want to do, so you don't feel like you're having to rush into a PhD project. It's a huge commitment to spend several years working on the same thing, and you really do get the time to sort of decide who you want to work with and what you want to work on before you really have to commit to it, which, having had a bit of a break from my studies as well as a teacher, was very helpful.
There's a lot of freedom even when you're on the PhD to do other stuff.
I did do quite a lot of placements or internships during my PhD, which, as someone that wasn't planning to have an academic career, was useful for me for my career path.
I really enjoyed the department here. You know, the people here are a lot friendlier than in typical maths departments, or at least what you might perceive as typical.
I think being part of a cohort, so the fact that you had a really strong group around you to kind of go through the good times and the hard times with you, and also that we have that transfer across the cohorts, so you have people that have gone through things before you, usually very willing to share their experience.
You get to see lots of different mathematical perspectives, lots of different backgrounds.
Doing a PhD project can be quite isolating because it's just you becoming an expert in everything. So that aspect of it was really nice, kind of like camaraderie.
I think if you just did a PhD on its own, it would be a good experience, but doing it in SAMBa, it kind of enriched it with all the people around you.